Because I've been deciding whether to kill you or keep you. The words hit Sophia before the pain did. Blood was still pooling on the counter from her shattered hand when Alessandro Caruso said it casual like he was ordering coffee. She was 18, bleeding, trapped in a bakery at 2 a.m. with a mafia boss who had been stalking her for 6 months. He knew everything, her aunt's debts, her work schedule, the fact that she'd been sold 3 weeks ago to men who'd collect her like property. And now his hand was wrapped around her wrist, warm and possessive, and she couldn't tell if he was her savior or her executioner. Subscribe now. You need to see how far this goes. Comment your city below. Let me know where Sophia's story reaches, because what happens next, nobody sees coming. The glass hit the floor first, then the blood. Sophia didn't scream, couldn't scream, just watched red bloom across her palm like a flower opening. The coffee mug had shattered in her hand, mid-pour ceramic shards embedding in her skin, and all she could think was, I'm going to lose this job. Jesus Christ, Sophia! Rita's voice cut through the ringing in her ears. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm sorry. The words were automatic, programmed into her after 18 years of apologizing for existing. I'm so sorry, I'll clean it up. You're bleeding everywhere. Rita shoved past her, grabbed a rag that had been wiping tables 5 minutes ago. Dirty, gray, probably covered in more bacteria than Sophia's cut. God, you're useless. Absolutely useless. Sophia took the rag, pressed it to her palm. The pain hit, delayed, sharp and bright, stealing her breath. She started. Table 6, Rita snapped. Now! There was no table 6. At 2:17 a.m. on a Thursday, Chen's Family Bakery had exactly one customer. The man in the corner booth who never ate, never spoke, just sat there night after night watching Sophia like she was something he'd lost and found again. I'm bleeding, Sophia said quietly, and I'm not paying you to bleed. Move. Sophia moved, because that's what you did when you were poor and your aunt's rent was 3 months overdue and you'd worked 14 hours between 2 jobs and your feet had gone numb somewhere around hour 9. You moved. The man in the corner booth looked up as she approached. You're hurt, he said. His voice wasn't what she expected. Educated, smooth, the kind of voice that came from expensive schools and imported cigars and knowing exactly how much power you held. I'm fine, Sophia lied, the rag already soaked through. Can I get you by an... Sit down, not a request, a command, and Sophia's body obeyed before her brain caught up, sliding into the booth across from him like a puppet with cut strings. Up close, he was devastating. Late 20s, maybe early 30s. Bone structure that belonged on Roman statues. A suit that cost more than Sophia would make in a year, she knew, because she'd priced them once, dreaming, before reality reminded her that girls like her didn't get to dream. Let me see your hand, he said. Rita needs me to. Rita can wait. Give me your hand. Sophia extended it, watched his fingers' long, elegant, carefully manicured wrap around her wrist. His touch was warm, firm, possessive in a way that made her stomach flip. He unwrapped the filthy rag, slowly revealing the cut. Deep, jagged, still bleeding freely. You need stitches, he said. I need this job, Sophia corrected. So if you'll just... The door chimed. 3 men walked in and the air changed, became heavier, dangerous. They moved like soldiers, synchronized alert hands hovering near jackets that definitely concealed weapons. Black suits, black ties, black eyes that had seen things and done worse. Rita made a sound like a dying animal. One of the men flipped the door sign to closed, locked it. The click echoed like a gunshot. The man holding Sophia's wrist didn't even glance at them, just kept examining her cut with the focused intensity of a surgeon or a predator deciding where to bite. Rita, he called out, not raising his voice, not needing to. Come here. Rita scurried over. She was shaking, actually shaking. Mr. Caruso, she stammered. I didn't know we weren't expecting Caruso. The name hit Sophia like cold water. Everyone in this neighborhood knew that name, whispered it in dark corners and behind closed doors. The Caruso family ran everything west of Morrison Street, drugs, guns, protection girls. If you crossed them, you disappeared. If you owed them, you paid, one way or another. And Sophia was sitting across from Alessandro Caruso, the heir to that empire, while he held her bleeding hand like he owned it. How long has she been working tonight? Alessandro asked. Rita's face went white. Our shift started. How long? His voice dropped 10 degrees. 6 p.m., Rita whispered. 8 hours. Alessandro checked his watch. Rolex Platinum probably worth more than Sophia's aunt's car. Where's her break? She took. Did she? The question hung in the air like a noose. Rita's eyes darted to Sophia, begging, please lie, please protect me. But Sophia was so tired of lying. So tired of protecting people who wouldn't do the same for her. No, she heard herself say, no break. Alessandro's jaw clenched. Something flickered in his eyes, rage tightly controlled, barely leashed. Get me a first aid kit, he said softly. A real one, not whatever expired garbage you keep under the counter. We don't have. Then send one of my men to get one. You have 60 seconds before I start asking questions about labor law violations, tax evasion, and the very interesting health code violations I noticed in your kitchen. His smile was sharp as a knife. 58 seconds. Rita fled. One of the suited men spoke into his phone in rapid Italian. Alessandro kept holding Sophia's hand, applying pressure with the clean side of the rag. You don't know me, he said, turning those dark eyes on her. But I know you. Sophia's breath caught. What Sophia Chen, 18 years old, 247 Morrison Street Unit, 3B, lives with your aunt, Linda, alcoholic compulsive gambler, hasn't held a job in 4 years. You work here 6 nights a week, Richmond dry cleaners, 4 days a week. You send money home every month, even though Linda spends it on vodka and blackjack instead of keeping the lights on. The coffee pot slipped from Sophia's other hand, hit the table with a clatter. Why would you know that? Alessandro leaned forward. Because for the last 6 months, I've been deciding whether to kill you or keep you. And tonight you made my decision very, very easy. Sophia tried to jerk her hand back. He held on, not hard enough to hurt, but hard enough to make a point. She was only as free as he allowed her to be. I don't understand, she whispered. Your aunt owes money to the Bratva, Russian syndicate, very nasty people. They were planning to collect their debt from you next Tuesday at 11 p.m. when you close the dry cleaners alone. He said it like he was reading a grocery list. I couldn't allow that. The world tilted. My aunt she wouldn't. $38,000, gambling debts mostly, some loan shark interest. She's been very busy destroying her life. And yours. $38,000. The number ricocheted around Sophia's skull, impossible, incomprehensible. That was more money than Sophia had ever seen, more than she could make in 3 years, maybe 4. I can't pay that, she said, and hated how small her voice sounded. I know. Alessandro's thumb brushed over her knuckles, almost tender. That's why I already did. The first aid kit arrived. Professional grade, the kind with real medical supplies, not the Band-Aids and expired Tylenol Rita kept under the register. One of the suited men set it on the table like he was placing a bomb. Alessandro opened it one-handed, still holding Sophia with the other. This is going to hurt, he warned, pulling out antiseptic and gauze. Wait, I can't afford. You're not paying for anything. Ever again. He poured antiseptic over the cut. Pain exploded through Sophia's hand, white-hot, blinding. She bit down on her lip hard enough to taste blood strangling the scream in her throat because girls like her didn't get to scream, didn't get to take up space, didn't get to be loud about their pain. Breathe, Alessandro said, his voice dropping to something almost gentle. Just breathe through it. I don't understand what's happening. Sophia gasped around the pain. I don't understand why you're doing this. Because you're mine. The words were simple, final, absolute. Sophia stared at him, at this stranger with his gentle hands and his dead eyes and his impossible declaration. I'm not anyone's. You've been mine since the first time I saw you. He started wrapping her hand, his movements expert and precise. 6 months ago, October 14th, it was raining. You were closing the bakery. The homeless man who sits by the bus stop, Carl, his name is Carl, you gave him your umbrella. Your only umbrella. And then you walked home in the storm. You were smiling the whole way. I couldn't understand it. Why would anyone smile while suffering? Sophia remembered that night, remembered Carl's roomy eyes and his grateful hands, and the way the rain had felt like baptism. You've been watching me, she said slowly. For 6 months, you've been stalking me. Yes, no apology, no shame, just simple acknowledgement. That's insane, Sophia said. That's illegal. That's love, Alessandro said. And the way he said it made Sophia's blood run cold, because he meant it. This terrifying man in his perfect suit, surrounded by his criminals, and his violence genuinely believed he was in love with her. I need to leave, Sophia said, standing up too fast. The room spun. Her vision went gray at the edges. Rita, I'm clocking out. You're not clocking out. Alessandro stood with her moving into her space. Not touching, not yet, but close enough that she could smell his cologne. Expensive, woodsy, the kind of scent that probably had a French name she couldn't pronounce. You're quitting. I can't quit. I need this job. Listen to me very carefully. His hand came up slow, giving her time to flinch away if she wanted, and cupped her face. His palm was warm against her cheek. Your aunt's debts are paid. Every penny. Her slate is clean with the bratva. But that money came from me, which means she owes me now. And I'm collecting that debt through you. You can't just, I can. He pulled out his phone with his free hand, typed something, then turned the screen to face her. A bank transfer. $38,000 to an account she didn't recognize. Timestamp 2:24 a.m. 7 minutes ago. It's done. Your aunt is safe. You're safe as long as you come with me. Come with you where? Home? The word shouldn't have sounded like a threat, but it did. Rita appeared at Sophia's elbow, her face the color of spoiled milk. Sophia, honey, I think you need to listen to Mr. Caruso. Rita. Your final paycheck. Rita shoved an envelope at her with shaking hands, plus a bonus for your service. I've worked here 11 months. Please, Rita's voice cracked. Just take it and go. Please, Ish. One of the suited men opened the door. Night air rushed in cold and sharp with the promise of winter. A black SUV sat at the curb, engine running, windows tinted so dark they looked like portals to another dimension. I'm giving you a choice, Alessandro said, though they both knew it was a lie. Come with me now, let me take care of you the way you should have been taking care of your entire life. Or go home to your aunt's apartment, wait for the bratva to figure out the debt's been paid, and pray they don't decide to collect interest anyway. That's not a choice, Sophia whispered. No. Alessandro agreed, but it's more than most people get in my world. He held out his hand, palm up, waiting, an invitation that was also a command. Sophia looked at Rita, who was crying now, mascara running down her face. Looked at the three men in suits, patient as death. Looked at the bakery where she'd spent 11 months killing herself for $8.50 an hour in abuse. Looked at Alessandro Caruso, who'd apparently fallen in love with her the moment she'd given away an umbrella. If I go with you, she said carefully, what happens to me? You live. Simple. Direct. You eat real food. You sleep in a real bed. You never worry about money or rent or your aunt's problems ever again. You're protected. You're cherished. You're mine. And what do you get? His smile was sharp enough to cut. Everything. Sophia's hand throbbed. Her feet ached. She could taste blood where she'd bitten her cheek. Somewhere across town, her aunt was probably passed out drunk, not even wondering where Sophia was. Not caring. She took his hand. Alessandro's fingers closed around hers, immediately warm, possessive, final. Good girl, he murmured, and something in Sophia's chest cracked open and reformed into a shape she didn't recognize. He led her to the SUV. One of the men opened the back door. The interior was all black leather and tinted windows, a world completely separate from the one outside. Get in, Alessandro said softly. Sophia got in. He slid in beside her, close enough that his thigh pressed against hers. The door closed with a heavy thunk that sounded like a coffin lid. The driver pulled away from the curb, and Sophia watched the bakery disappear in the side mirror, Rita still standing in the doorway, hand over her mouth, crying. Where are we going? Sophia asked. I told you, home. Your home. Our home. Alessandro corrected, his voice firm. You'll get used to saying it. The city slid past the windows. Familiar streets becoming unfamiliar as they drove further from her neighborhood. Sophia clutched the envelope Rita had given her, feeling the thin comfort of cash through paper. I don't even know you, she said. You will. We have all the time in the world now. This is kidnapping. This is rescue. Alessandro pulled out his phone again, scrolled through something, then showed her the screen. A photograph. Her aunt's apartment building. Dated yesterday. An eviction notice taped to the door of Unit 3B. Your aunt's 3 months behind on rent. Eviction is scheduled for Monday. Where exactly were you planning to sleep next week? Sophia's throat closed. She hadn't known. Linda had said, but of course Linda had lied. Linda always lied. I would have figured something out, she whispered. You would have ended up on the street. Or worse. Alessandro put the phone away. The Bratva would have found you, and trust me when I say they don't have my sense of restraint or romance. They would have used you until there was nothing left to use, then dumped what remained in the river. How do you know all this? Sofia demanded, anger finally breaking through the shock. How do you know about the eviction and the Bratva and... Because I've been protecting you for 6 months. His voice went flat, matter of fact. Since the umbrella. Since I realized you were going to get yourself killed with that bleeding heart of yours. I had my people watching your aunt, intercepting the Bratva's calls, paying off her smaller debts to buy time while I decided what to do with you. Decided what to do with me? Sofia's voice rose. I'm not a thing you get to decide about. Yes, you are. Alessandro turned to face her fully, his eyes catching the passing streetlights. I'm not a good man, Sofia. I need you to understand that right now before this goes any further. I've killed people. I've tortured people. I've destroyed families and businesses and lives without losing a single minute of sleep. My hands are soaked in blood, and I'll never be clean. Then why? But I have never, he continued, his voice dropping to something raw and almost vulnerable. And I will never hurt you. You're the exception. The only exception I'll ever make. That's not love, Sofia said. That's obsession. In my world, they're the same thing. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Love is just obsession with better PR. The SUV turned off the highway onto a narrow road lined with trees. No streetlights out here, just darkness and the headlights cutting through it like knives. I want to see my aunt, Sofia said suddenly. Before whatever this is, I want to say goodbye. Alessandro was quiet for a long moment. Too long. No, he finally said. You can't just... 3 weeks ago, your aunt made a deal with the Bratva. His voice went cold clinical. When they came to collect, she told them she didn't have the money, so they suggested an alternative payment plan. And your aunt, your loving, devoted aunt, gave them your work schedule, your route home from the dry cleaners, the fact that you close alone on Tuesdays, everything they needed to collect you instead. The world stopped. You're lying, Sofia whispered. I have recordings. Alessandro pulled out his phone again, started to pull up files. I have photographs. I have the signed agreement with her handwriting. Stop. Sofia's hands were shaking. Stop. I can't. She sold you Sofia for $38,000 in the promise that they'd leave her alone. She traded her niece, the girl who's been keeping her alive for 4 years, for vodka money and peace of mind. Sofia couldn't breathe. The SUV suddenly felt too small, the air too thick. Her chest was tight, her vision blurring. I don't believe you, she said, but her voice cracked. She wouldn't, she's family. Family, Alessandro's laugh was bitter. Family doesn't let you work yourself to death at 18. Family doesn't spend your rent money on blackjack. Family doesn't sell you to Russian gangsters like you're a used car. Stop? I'm sorry. And he actually sounded it, his voice softening. I know you wanted to believe she cared, but she doesn't. She never did. You were just a paycheck to her, a way to keep the lights on while she drank herself into oblivion. Sofia felt something inside her break, shatter like the coffee mug, sharp pieces cutting deep. And then she was crying. Not pretty quiet tears, but ugly, gut-wrenching sobs that tore out of her throat like animals. She couldn't stop, couldn't breathe, could only cry for the aunt who'd been her only family, for the life she'd destroyed herself trying to maintain, for the girl who'd given away an umbrella 6 months ago and smiled in the rain. Alessandro pulled her against his chest. One hand cupped the back of her head, holding her there. His other arm wrapped around her waist, anchoring her. Let it out, he murmured against her hair. I've got you now. Sofia cried into his expensive suit until there was nothing left, until her throat was raw and her eyes burned and her body was just a hollow shell. When she finally pulled back, they were stopped at a gate, massive iron bars. security cameras, armed guards in black uniforms. The SUV rolled through and Sophia caught her first glimpse of the estate through tear-blurred eyes. It looked like something from a fairy tale, the kind that ended with poisoned apples and glass coffins. A mansion sprawling across manicured lawns, fountains lit up in gold and blue, windows glowing warm against the darkness. It was beautiful and terrifying and completely unreal. "Welcome home," Alessandro said quietly. "Home." The word tasted like ashes. The SUV stopped at the front entrance. The driver opened their door. Alessandro stepped out first, then turned and offered Sophia his hand, his good hand, the one that wasn't soaked with her blood and tears. She stared at it, this hand that had bandaged her wound, that had held her while she broke, that belonged to a killer who'd been stalking her for 6 months, and called it love. "Last chance," Alessandro said, and his voice was soft, almost sad. "I can have my driver take you anywhere you want to go. I'll clear your aunt's debts anyway. Give you money to start over. You'll never hear from me again." "You're lying," Sophia said. "No, I'm not." He met her eyes. "I told you I'm giving you a choice. Maybe not a fair one, maybe not a good one, but it's real. You can walk away right now. I won't stop you." Sophia looked at the mansion, looked at the guards with their guns, looked at the SUV idling behind them ready to take her anywhere she wanted to go, looked at Alessandro standing there in his blood-stained suit with his impossible offer and his dark eyes that saw too much, looked at her own reflection in the SUV's window, a girl with tangled hair and a stained uniform and a bandaged hand. 18 years old and so tired she could barely stand. No family, no home, no one who'd even notice if she disappeared. She took his hand and let him pull her out of the car. "Good," Alessandro said, and the satisfaction in his voice made her shiver. "Let's get you cleaned up." Cleaned. He led her up the steps through doors that whispered open on silent hinges. The foyer was bigger than her aunt's entire apartment had been. Marble floors that reflected the crystal chandelier hanging overhead. A staircase that curved up and up into shadows. A woman was waiting, mid-50s, elegant in the way that came from generations of wealth. Dark hair streaked with silver, eyes like chips of ice. "So this is her," the woman said, and her voice could have frozen oceans. "Mother." Alessandro's hand tightened on Sophia's. "This is Sophia Chen. Sophia, my mother, Isabella Caruso." Isabella looked Sophia up and down, took in the uniform, the bandage, the tear-stained face. Her lip curled. "You picked a waitress," she said flatly. "I picked the woman I'm going to marry," Alessandro corrected, and Sophia's heart stopped. "Mary," Isabella's laugh was like breaking glass. "Have you lost your mind? Look at her, she's a child. A poor, damaged child with no breeding, no education, no, she's mine." Alessandro cut in, his voice going cold. "And you'll treat her with respect, or you'll find yourself in the guest house indefinitely. Do we understand each other?" The air between them crackled with tension. Isabella's eyes narrowed, but she nodded once, sharp, furious. "Have Maria prepare the blue room," Alessandro continued, already moving toward the stairs. "And send up food, something light. She hasn't eaten properly in months." Alessandro, "Good night, mother." He pulled Sophia up the stairs before Isabella could respond. Sophia's legs felt like water, but Alessandro's grip kept her upright. The second floor was a hallway lined with closed doors, each one hiding secrets Sophia wasn't sure she wanted to discover. He opened one near the end, the blue room. It was enormous, a bed that could fit 4 people easily. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking gardens lit up like something from a dream. Furniture that looked antique and expensive. A bathroom visible through an open door, all white marble and gold fixtures. And clothes, laid out on the bed like offerings. Designer labels, silk and cashmere. Things Sophia had only ever seen in magazine spreads. "All yours," Alessandro said, releasing her hand finally. "The closet is fully stocked. My assistant guessed your size, but if anything doesn't fit, tell me and I'll have it replaced immediately." Sophia walked to the bed, touched a silk blouse that probably cost more than she made in a month. "When did you do all this?" 3 months ago, when I decided to keep you instead of kill you." The casual way he said it, like he was discussing the weather instead of her life or death, made Sophia's stomach turn. "You're insane," she said. "Probably." Alessandro moved to the bathroom, turned on the shower. Steam began to rise immediately. "Get cleaned up. I'll have food sent up. We'll talk more tomorrow." "Talk about what?" "Your new life." He paused in the doorway. Your education, what you want to study, what you want to do with yourself now that you're free. I'm not free, Sophia said quietly. I'm your prisoner. Alessandro turned back to her, crossed the room in 3 long strides, cupped her face in both hands, forcing her to look at him. 6 months ago, he said quietly, you gave a homeless man your only umbrella because you couldn't stand to see someone suffer in the rain. That kindness, that stupid, reckless kindness, is going to get you killed in this world, Sophia. So yes, you're my prisoner. Because the only way to keep you alive is to cage you, to control every aspect of your life until you learn that being good doesn't make you safe, it makes you prey. He kissed her forehead, gentle, almost reverent. Sleep well, he murmured against her skin. Tomorrow we start planning the wedding. He left. The door closed behind him with a soft click. And then a lock turned. Not loud, but Sophia heard it anyway. She was in a gilded cage, a beautiful prison, and the man who'd put her here genuinely believed he was saving her life. Sophia sank onto the bed surrounded by silk and designer labels and luxury she'd never dreamed of having. She looked at her bandaged hand, thought about her aunt selling her, about Alessandro watching her for 6 months, about the Bratva waiting to collect her like a debt. She thought about the umbrella, about smiling in the rain, and she wondered if kindness really was the thing that would kill her, or if Alessandro Caruso would do it first. Sophia didn't sleep. How could she? Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Alessandro's face, heard his voice saying, "You're mine," like it was a fact instead of a threat, felt his hands on her skin, gentle, possessive, wrong. At 6 a.m., someone knocked on the door. Miss Chen, a woman's voice heavily accented. "I have breakfast." Sophia sat up. She was still wearing yesterday's stained uniform, hadn't even made it to the shower before exhaustion had dumped her on top of the silk duvet. Her hand throbbed under the bandage. "Come in," she called. The door opened. A woman in her 60s entered carrying a tray, white-haired, round-faced, kind eyes that reminded Sophia painfully of the grandmother she'd barely known, not a Caruso. Staff. "I'm Maria," the woman said, setting the tray on the bedside table. "I've been with the family 30 years. You need anything you ask me, yes." Sophia looked at the tray. Fresh fruit. Pastries that actually looked fresh, not day-old rejects from the bakery. Orange juice in real glass. Coffee that smelled like it cost more per cup than Sophia made per hour. "I need to leave," Sophia said. Maria's face didn't change. "You need to eat, shower, then we talk about what you need." "I need to go home." "Home to what?" Maria asked gently. "The apartment with eviction notice, the aunt who sold you Mr. Alessandro, he told me everything. He wants me to help you." "Help me?" Sophia's laugh came out broken. "I'm locked in." "Door is unlocked since 5 a.m., Maria said. "Mr. Alessandro, he unlocks it every morning. You want to test it? Go ahead." Mini Climax 2, 4730 to 5000. Sophia stared at her, then got up and crossed to the door, tried the handle. It turned. The door opened onto the empty hallway. No guards, no locks, just carpet and closed doors and silence. "Where is he?" Sophia whispered. "Office, East Wing. Works from 6 to noon every day." Maria picked up a pastry, held it out. "Eat. You're too thin. You want to fight him, you need strength." Sophia took the pastry mechanically, bit into it. It was still warm, buttery, the best thing she'd tasted in months. Her stomach empty for 20 hours, cramped with sudden hunger. She ate standing by the door, ate like she might never eat again. Finished the pastry and started on another one. Maria watched with approval. "Good," Maria said. "Now shower." I laid out clothes, comfortable clothes, not the fancy things. "You're meeting with Mrs. Isabella at 9. "I don't want to meet with her." "Doesn't matter what you want," Maria said, not unkindly. "Mrs. Isabella, she runs this house. You want to survive here, you learn to handle her first." "I don't want to survive here. I want to leave." Maria was quiet for a moment. Then she crossed to Sophia, took her unbandaged hand. "I was 19 when I came to this house," Maria said softly. "Mr. Alessandro's grandfather, he brought me from Italy. I thought I was coming to be nanny. Turns out I was payment for my father's debt. You understand?" Sophia's throat tightened. "You were—" "I was you. Scared, angry, wanted to run." Maria squeezed her hand. "But I stayed, I learned. And now, 30 years later, this is my home, my family. Mr. Alessandro, he's not his grandfather. He's not even his father. He's something different, maybe better, maybe worse. But he chose you, and in this world, that means something. It means I'm property. It means you're protected. Maria released her hand. Shower, dress. 9 o'clock, Mrs. Isabella's sitting room. Don't be late. She hates late. Maria left. Sophia stood in the middle of the blue room, pastry crumbs on her uniform, her whole body shaking with adrenaline and fear, and something else she didn't want to name. The door was unlocked. She could walk out right now, down the stairs, out the front door, down the long driveway. She could run. And then what? Go back to her aunt's apartment with the eviction notice, sleep on the street. Wait for the Bratva to find her anyway. Sophia walked to the window instead. Looked out at the gardens, acres of them, perfectly manicured, surrounded by high walls topped with cameras. A golden cage pretending to be paradise. She showered. The bathroom was obscene rainfall shower head, heated floors, towels so soft they felt like clouds. She watched blood and dirt and yesterday swirl down the drain and wished she could go with it. The clothes Maria had laid out were simple. Jeans that actually fit, a cashmere sweater in soft gray, underwear still in packaging, expensive brands, her exact size. Alessandro's assistant was very good at guessing, or Alessandro had been watching her even more carefully than he'd admitted. Sophia dressed, looked at herself in the full-length mirror. She looked like a different person, like someone who belonged in a place like this. She hated it. At 8:55, she left the blue room. The hallway was still empty. She followed it to the stairs down to the foyer. A different guard stood by the door, now younger, dark-skinned, with a scar across his jaw. Mrs. Isabella's sitting room, Sophia said. Where is it? He pointed without speaking. West wing, past the dining room. Third door on the left. Sophia found it at 8:59, knocked at exactly 9 o'clock. Enter, Isabella's voice called. The sitting room was smaller than Sophia expected, more intimate. Cream-colored walls, antique furniture windows overlooking a rose garden. Isabella sat in a high-backed chair like it was a throne, a cup of tea in her hands. Sit, Isabella said, nodding to the chair across from her. Sophia sat. Isabella studied her for a long moment. Sophia studied her back. Up close, Alessandro's mother was striking beautiful in that cold-carved way that came from generations of power. She was wearing a dress that probably cost more than a car. Pearls at her throat, wedding ring that could pay off a mortgage. You're wondering why he chose you, Isabella said finally. No, Sophia said. I know why. He told me. He's obsessed. Isabella's lips twitched. Almost a smile. Oh, my mom. Honest. I like that. Most girls in your position would lie. Pretend to be flattered. I'm not most girls. No, you're an 18-year-old waitress with no family, no money, no prospects. You should be grateful. The words hit like a slap. Sophia felt her face heat. I didn't ask for any of this. None of us ask for this life, Isabella said, setting down her tea. It chooses us. My husband chose me when I was 20. I was a secretary in his lawyer's office. He saw me, decided he wanted me, and that was that. I fought for 6 months. Screamed, cried, tried to run 3 times. He brought me back every time. And then I learned. Learned what? That fighting gets you nowhere. That in this world you're either predator or prey, and the only way to stop being prey is to become something else entirely. Isabella leaned forward. You think my son is the villain in your story, but let me tell you what would have happened if he hadn't taken you. The Bravo would have collected you Tuesday night. They would have used you for a week, maybe 2, passed you around to their soldiers, broken you in every way a person can be broken. And then when there was nothing left worth using, they would have put a bullet in your head and dumped you in the Hudson. Sophia's hands were shaking. She pressed them together in her lap. Alessandro saved your life, Isabella continued. He paid your aunt's debts. He brought you here, gave you safety and comfort and a future. And yes, he's obsessed with you. Yes, he's been watching you. But in this world, that obsession is the only thing keeping you alive. So I'll ask you once, are you going to be smart or are you going to be stupid? What's the difference? Smart girls learn to work the system, to use their position for power, to turn the cage into a throne. Isabella's eyes glinted. Stupid girls fight until they break. and then they're useless to everyone, including themselves. I'm not going to stop fighting, Sophia said. I didn't say stop fighting. I said be smart about it. Isabella stood, moved to the window. My son has given you a gift, whether you recognize it or not. He's handed you power over one of the most dangerous men in this city. The question is, what are you going to do with it? Before Sophia could answer, the door opened. Alessandro walked in, still in yesterday's clothes, looking like he hadn't slept either. His eyes went straight to Sophia. Mother, he said coldly, I thought we agreed you'd wait until I was present for this conversation. We agreed to no such thing, Isabella said. I'm merely getting to know your future wife. Wife, Sophia's voice cracked. Nobody said anything about, the wedding is in 3 weeks, Alessandro said, like he was discussing a business meeting. Small ceremony, family only. I've already contacted the priest. Sophia stood up so fast her chair fell over. You can't just decide that. I can and I have. Alessandro moved toward her. She backed away until she hit the wall. He stopped just outside her personal space, close enough that she could see the exhaustion in his eyes. I told you last night, you're mine. That means marriage, protection, my name, my ring on your finger. I'll run, Sophia said desperately. First chance I get, I'll run. No, you won't. His hand came up, cupped her face. Because you're too smart. You've already realized there's nowhere to run to. Your aunt betrayed you. The Bratva wants you dead. The police won't help. I'm the only safe place you have left. I hate you, Sophia whispered. I know. He said it gently, almost tenderly. But you'll learn to live with me. Maybe even care for me. I can wait. How romantic, Isabella drawled from the window. Alessandro, your father proposed to me with a gun to my head. At least give the girl some flowers. I've given her safety, Alessandro said, not taking his eyes off Sophia. That's worth more than flowers. Is it? Sophia asked. Because I can't leave. I can't see anyone. I'm locked in a mansion with a man who stalked me for 6 months. How is that safety? How is that better than anything else? Something flickered in Alessandro's eyes. Hurt maybe, or anger. It was gone too fast to tell. You want freedom? He asked softly. Fine, you can go anywhere on the estate. You can see anyone you want. I'll bring them here. You can study, work, pursue any interest you have. I'll give you money, credit cards, whatever you need. The only rule is you don't leave without me. That's it. That's the only restriction. That's imprisonment. That's marriage in my world, Isabella said. Welcome to the family, dear. Alessandro's jaw clenched. Mother, get out. Excuse me? I said get out. Now, Maya. Isabella's eyes narrowed. For a moment, Sophia thought she'd refuse, but then she swept past them both head high and slammed the door behind her. Sophia and Alessandro stood alone in the sitting room. The silence stretched between them like a wire pulled too tight. I didn't want it to be like this, Alessandro said finally. Then let me go. I can't. He stepped back, ran a hand through his hair. You think I'm a monster? Maybe I am, but I've seen what happens to good people in bad worlds, Sophia. I've seen kindness rewarded with cruelty. I've seen innocence destroyed, and I can't let that happen to you. So you're destroying it yourself, Sophia asked, taking away my choices, my freedom, my life. How is that better? Because his voice rose, frustration breaking through the control. Because you're safe and fed and whole. Because in 3 weeks, you'll have my name and my protection, and no one will ever dare touch you again. That's how it's better. I don't want your name. You don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Sophia was yelling now, 6 months of exhaustion and fear and rage finally erupting. You keep saying you're giving me choices, but they're all the same. Submit or suffer. Stay or die. Marry you or what? What happens if I say no? Alessandro went very still. Nothing happens. You stay here, safe, unmarried, alone. Forever. Until you change your mind. And if I never do, his face shuddered, became unreadable. Then I'll have failed, but you'll still be alive. That's all that matters. Sophia stared at him. At this man who'd upended her entire existence in the name of protection, who claimed to love her but treated her like property, who looked at her now with something raw and desperate in his eyes. I need air, she said, in the gardens. Alone, I need to be alone. Alessandro hesitated, then nodded once sharp. The grounds are safe. The guards know not to approach you unless there's danger. Stay away from the walls, they're monitored, and my men will panic if you get too close. He left. The door closed behind him with a soft click. Sophia stood in the sitting room, breathing hard, her heart racing. She counted to 10, then 20, then walked to the door and tried it. Unlocked. She moved through the mansion like a ghost, past guards who didn't look at her, through hallways that all looked the same. Finally found a door to the gardens and pushed through it into cold morning air. The gardens were massive, paths winding through rose bushes and fountains, stone benches under willow trees. Everything perfect and manicured and completely artificial. Sophia walked until she couldn't see the mansion anymore, found a bench hidden behind a hedge and sat down. Put her face in her hands. Didn't cry, couldn't cry, just sat there feeling the weight of everything crushing down on her chest. You're the umbrella girl. Sophia's head snapped up. A man stood a few feet away, late 40s, graying hair, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. He wasn't dressed like a guard, cardigan and slacks like a professor. Who are you? Sophia demanded. Dr. Marcus Reeves. I'm the family physician. I come twice a week to check on everyone. He held up his hands, showing he was unarmed. I heard about you. Alessandro's new acquisition. I'm not an acquisition. No. Marcus moved closer, sat on the other end of the bench without asking. That's good. Maybe you'll last longer than the others. Sophia's blood went cold. Others? Alessandro's had 3 obsessions before you. Over the years, different women. He watched them, protected them from a distance, tried to approach them. Marcus pulled out a pipe, didn't light it, just turned it over in his hands. They all said no, ran. He let them go. He let them go, hope flared in Sophia's chest. Then why? They're all dead now. Marcus said it gently, like he was delivering a diagnosis. Within 6 months of leaving his protection, car accident, mugging gone wrong, random shooting. All very convenient coincidences. Sophia felt sick. He killed them. The Brava killed them. The Cosa Nostra killed them. Rival families killed them. The world killed them. Marcus finally looked at her. Alessandro was right about one thing: good people don't survive in bad worlds. Not without protection. And once you've caught the attention of this world, there's no going back to normal. You're marked. Forever. That's not fair, Sophia whispered. Life rarely is. Marcus put the pipe away. But here's what I came to tell you. Alessandro is a killer, a criminal, a man who's done terrible things, but in his twisted way, he's trying to save you. The question you need to answer is, are you willing to be saved if it costs everything you are? I don't know, Sophia said honestly. Then figure it out fast, because the wedding is in 3 weeks, and after that, there's no more ambiguity. You'll be a Caruso. That means power, wealth, and safety, but it also means blood, complicity, becoming part of the machine you hate. What if I still say no? Then you'll spend the rest of your life in this golden cage waiting for Alessandro to either give up or die. And trust me, Carusos don't give up, and they don't die easy. Marcus stood. Your hand, let me see it. Sophia held out her bandaged hand. Marcus unwrapped it, carefully examined the cut. It was healing well, edges already starting to close. He did good work, Marcus said. Alessandro always does. He's surprisingly gentle when he wants to be. He rewrapped the bandage. New dressing tonight. Maria will help you. And Sophia, whatever you decide, decide it yourself. Don't let anyone, not Alessandro, not Isabella, not even me, make this choice for you. It's yours. Maybe the last real choice you'll ever have. He walked away. Sophia watched him disappear down the path, his words echoing in her head. She sat in the garden for another hour, watched the sun climb higher, felt the cold seep into her bones. Finally, she stood, started walking back toward the mansion. She was halfway there when she heard voices, raised, angry, coming from an open window. Insane, bringing her here without preparation. I had no choice, Mother. The Bratva was moving Tuesday. Then you should have eliminated the threat, not imported it. Sophia moved closer to the window, pressed herself against the wall, listening. I'm not discussing this, Alessandro said, his voice tight. Sophia stays. We marry. That's final. And what happens when she realizes what you do? Isabella demanded. When she sees the blood on your hands, when she learns about the businesses, the deals, the bodies. You think she'll still look at you with those innocent eyes? She doesn't have to know. She'll find out. They always do. And then what? You'll lock her up tighter, drug her, turn her into one of those broken dolls who smile and nod and die inside. Sophia's stomach turned. She should walk away, should stop listening. But she couldn't move. I'll never hurt her, Alessandro said. You already have. Isabella's laugh was bitter. You stole her life. That's hurt, Alessandro. The fact that you can't see it makes you more like your father than you want to admit. Don't, Alessandro's voice went dangerous. Don't compare me to him. Why not? He took what he wanted too, called it love, called it protection, and look what it did to me. Silence, heavy, suffocating. I'm not him, Alessandro said finally. No, Isabella agreed. You're worse, because at least your father knew he was a monster. You actually believe you're a hero. Footsteps. Alessandro was moving toward the window. Sophia ducked away just in time, pressed herself into the shadows as he appeared at the glass. He stared out at the gardens, his face carved from stone. Sophia ran, back through the paths past the fountains, all the way to a far corner of the estate, where the walls loomed high and the cameras watched everything. She sank down on the cold ground, her back against stone, and finally let herself think. Alessandro had been obsessed with her for 6 months, had watched her protected, her paid her aunt's debts. And now he wanted to marry her, own her, keep her in this golden cage forever. But he'd also saved her life. Maria had been right about that. Without his intervention, Sophia would be dead, or wishing she was. The Brava didn't show mercy. And the other women, the ones who'd said no, they were dead. All of them. Killed by the same world Alessandro was trying to protect her from. Maybe he was right. Maybe there was no escape. Maybe the umbrella in the rain had been the moment her old life ended, and everything since had just been the slow realization of it. You shouldn't sit on the cold ground, you'll get sick. Sophia looked up. A young woman stood over her mid-20s, dark hair, wearing an expensive suit. She had Alessandro's eyes. Family. I'm Lucia, the woman said. Alessandro's sister. You must be the umbrella girl everyone's talking about. Stop calling me that, Sophia said tiredly. Why, it's what you are. The girl stupid enough to give away her umbrella. The girl kind enough to smile in the rain. Lucia sat down beside her, not caring about her expensive clothes. My brother's been different since he saw you. Lighter, less angry. I should probably thank you for that. He kidnapped me. He saved you, Lucia corrected. There's a difference. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it's true. Lucia pulled out a cigarette, lit it. You want one? I don't smoke. You should start. Makes prison more bearable. Sophia looked at her. You're in prison too. We all are, the whole family. The walls keep enemies out, but they keep us in just as much. Lucia blew smoke into the cold air. The difference is most of us were born into this cage. You got dragged in screaming. That's harder. How do you stand it? I don't think about what I've lost. I think about what I've gained. Power, safety, the ability to crush anyone who threatens me or mine. Lucia's smile was sharp. You could have that too, you know. If you marry Alessandro, if you become a Caruso. I don't want power. Then you're a fool. Power is the only thing that matters in this world. Everything else is just pretty lies. They sat in silence for a moment. Sophia felt the cold seeping deeper into her bones, into her blood. What if I run? She asked quietly. You'll die, Lucia said simply. Maybe not right away. Maybe you'll last a year, 2 years. But eventually someone from our world will find you. And they'll use you to hurt Alessandro. That's how it works. His enemies won't kill you clean. They'll make it last. Make it hurt. Make sure he hears every scream. That's not fair. No, but it's reality, and Lucia stood, crushed out her cigarette. The wedding is in 3 weeks. You should decide before then whether you're going to fight or adapt. Because I promise you, fighting will only make you miserable. Adapting might actually give you a life. She walked away. Sophia sat against the wall until her legs went numb, until the sun was high overhead and her stomach was growling, and she couldn't feel her fingers anymore. Finally, she stood, walked back to the mansion on unsteady legs, found her way back to the blue room. Someone had changed the sheets, laid out new clothes, left fresh bandages on the bathroom counter. Sophia changed the dressing on her hand like Marcus had instructed. The cut was healing. In a week, maybe two, there'd be nothing but a scar. Physical proof that this had all happened, that she hadn't dreamed it. There was a knock on the door. "Miss Sophia, lunch is ready." Maria's voice. Safe. Kind. "I'm not hungry," Sophia called back. "You need to eat. Mr. Alessandro's orders." "Tell Mr. Alessandro to go to hell." Silence. "Then I'll bring a tray up. You need strength even for fighting." Sophia heard footsteps retreating. She laid down on the bed, stared at the ceiling, and tried to figure out who she was now. The girl who'd smiled in the rain was gone. Dead maybe like Alessandro's other obsessions. What was left? This girl in designer clothes in a locked mansion with a ring-shaped future bearing down on her like a train. The door opened. Sophia sat up expecting Maria. It was Alessandro. He carried a tray himself, set it on the bedside table. Soup, bread, water. "You need to eat," he said. "You need to let me go." "I can't." He sat on the edge of the bed, careful to keep distance between them. "Sophia, I know you hate me. I know you think I'm a monster, but I need you to understand something." "What?" "When I saw you give that man your umbrella, I realized I'd never seen real goodness before. Not like that. Not without agenda or manipulation or self-interest. You were just good. And I knew that this world would destroy you for it. So I started watching, making sure you were safe. And the more I watched, the more I..." He stopped, swallowed hard. "I fell in love with your kindness, with the way you smiled even when you were suffering, with your stupid, reckless goodness." "That's not love," Sophia said. "That's obsession. Maybe there's no difference." He looked at her, and for the first time she saw vulnerability in his eyes. "I'm not asking you to love me back. I'm asking you to let me keep you alive. Let me protect you. Let me give you the life you deserve instead of the one you've been suffering through." "And if I can't," Sophia whispered, "if I can't be your wife, can't accept this life, can't stop hating you for what you've done." Alessandro was quiet for a long moment. "Then I'll love you anyway," he said finally, "and you'll hate me forever, but you'll be alive to hate me, and that's enough." He stood, walked to the door, paused with his hand on the handle. "The wedding is in 3 weeks," he said without turning around. "But if you're not ready, if you can't do it, tell me. I'll postpone it, as long as you need. And if I never get ready, then we'll live in limbo, forever if that's what it takes." He opened the door. "Eat, Sophia, please." He left. The lock didn't click. Sophia sat on the bed surrounded by luxury and trapped by a protection and realized with a sick jolt that Alessandro actually meant it. He would wait forever. Love her forever. Keep her forever, whether she wanted him to or not. She picked up the soup. It was still warm. Homemade. The kind of thing her mother used to make back before the world took her too. Sophia ate, because she needed strength, because she was alive even if she wasn't free. And somewhere deep inside, in a place she didn't want to examine too closely, a small voice whispered, "Maybe being alive is enough. For now." 3 days passed like a fever dream. Sophia barely left the blue room. Maria brought meals she didn't eat. Alessandro knocked twice a day, morning and night, but never came in without permission. The guards pretended she didn't exist. And Sophia lay in that massive bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out who she was supposed to be now. On the 4th morning, someone else knocked. "Go away," Sophia called. Oh, the door opened anyway. Lucia stood there holding a garment bag and a look that meant business. "Get up," she said. "No." "It wasn't a request." Lucia crossed the room, yanked the covers off. "You've wallowed long enough. Time to face reality." "My reality is that I'm a prisoner." "Your reality is that you're getting married in 17 days and you need a dress." Lucia threw the garment bag on the bed. "Unless you want to walk down the aisle in your pajamas, which honestly would be hilarious but would also piss off my mother, and nobody wants that." Sophia sat up. Her hair was a mess. She probably smelled. She didn't care. "I'm not getting married." "Did you tell Alessandro that?" "I don't have to tell him anything." "Actually, you do. That's how communication works." Lucia unzipped the garment bag. "He thinks silence means you're considering it, that you're coming around. If you're not, you need to say so." To his face, like an adult. "I tried." You've been hiding in this room for 4 days, Lucia cut in. That's not trying, that's cowardice. She pulled out a wedding dress, white silk, simple lines, heartbreakingly beautiful. My mother wore this. I was supposed to wear it when I married, but that didn't work out. Sophia looked at her. What happened? I killed my fiancé 3 days before the wedding. Lucia said it casually, like she was discussing the weather. He put his hands on me wrong. Thought because we were engaged, I was his property. So I put a letter opener through his eye. Sophia's stomach turned. You what? Self-defense. Alessandro backed me up. Father was furious. It caused a whole diplomatic nightmare with the Gambino family, but Alessandro made it clear anyone touches a Caruso woman without permission, they die. End of story. Lucia held up the dress. So this dress has been waiting, and now it's yours. Try it on. I'm not trying on a wedding dress for a wedding I'm not having. Then tell him that, right now. He's downstairs in his office. Go tell him you'd rather die than marry him. See what he says. Sophia stood. She was still wearing the clothes from yesterday. Wrinkled, slept in. She looked like exactly what she was, a girl falling apart. Fine, she said. I'll tell him. She stormed out of the blue room and down the stairs, Lucia trailing behind her like a shadow. The guard by Alessandro's office door moved to stop her. Lucia waved him off. Sophia didn't knock, just threw the door open. Alessandro was on the phone. He looked up, surprise flickering across his face. I'll call you back, he said into the phone, then hung up. Sophia, I'm not marrying you, she said, and her voice came out steadier than she felt. I know you think if you wait long enough, I'll just accept this, but I won't. I can't. So you need to either let me go or figure out how to live with someone who'll hate you forever, because that's all I have to give you. Alessandro stood slowly. Are you finished? No, I want to see my aunt. No, you don't get to decide that. Yes, I do. He moved around the desk. Your aunt sold you to men who would have tortured you. Why would you want to see her? Because I need to hear her say it. Sophia's voice broke. I need to look her in the eye and hear her admit what she did. I need closure, Alessandro. I need to know that all of this is real and not just some nightmare I'm going to wake up from. Alessandro was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay. Sophia blinked. What? Okay. We will go see her. Today. Right now. He grabbed his jacket from the back of his chair. But I'm coming with you, and what you hear what she says, you don't get to unhear it. Are you sure you want this? Yes, Sophia said, even though she wasn't sure at all. Then let's go. Alessandro looked past her to Lucia. Tell Marco we need the car. Full security. 20 minutes later, Sophia was in the back of the SUV. Again, Alessandro beside her, 2 more cars flanking them. The city rolled past the windows. Familiar streets that felt like another lifetime. She's not going to apologize, Alessandro said quietly. You don't know that. I do. I've met 1,000 Lindas. They never apologize. They justify, blame, make themselves the victim. You need to be ready for that. I am ready. She wasn't. They pulled up to the apartment building 20 minutes later. It looked smaller than Sophia remembered. Dirtier. The hallway smelled like cigarettes and mildew. Someone had graffitied the walls since she'd last been here. Unit 3B, the eviction notice was gone. Alessandro must have paid the rent. Of course he had. Sophia knocked. Her hand was shaking. No answer. She knocked again. Aunt Linda, it's me. It's Sophia. Movement inside. The lock clicked. The door opened. Linda Chen looked worse than Sophia had ever seen her. Unwashed hair, stained robe, eyes red-rimmed and watery. She looked at Sophia, then at Alessandro, and her face went white. You, Linda breathed. Me, Alessandro agreed. Can we come in? Or do you want to have this conversation in the hallway? Linda stumbled back. They entered the apartment. It was worse than Sophia remembered too. Empty bottles everywhere. Dishes piled in the sink. The smell of decay and desperation. Sophia, Linda said, and her voice was already wheedling, already making excuses. Baby, I can explain. Did you sell me to the Bratva? Sophia asked. Her voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. Linda's eyes darted to Alessandro. I don't know what he told you, but did you sell me? Sophia asked again. Linda's face crumpled. They were going to kill me. They said if I didn't pay, they'd kill me. What was I supposed to do? Pay your own debts, Sophia said. Get a well. Stop gambling, stop drinking, anything except trade your niece for your life. You don't understand. I understand that I worked myself to death for you. I sent you every penny I could spare. I went hungry so you could eat. And the second things got hard, you sold me like I was nothing. Linda's tears were flowing now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But you're okay, right? You're fine. He took care of you. He kidnapped me. He saved you, Linda shot back, and suddenly the tears were gone, replaced by something ugly. You think the Bratva would have been nice. You think they would have given you pretty clothes and a nice room. They would have broken you in a week and thrown away what was left. At least with him, you're alive. Sophia felt like she'd been slapped. You knew. You knew what he was. Of course I knew. Everyone knows the Carusos. That's why I steered them toward you. Better you end up with him than with the Russians. Linda wiped her nose with the back of her hand. I did you a favor. A favor, Rio? Sophia's voice rose. You sold me to a mobster and you think you did me a favor. You were going to waste your life anyway, working dead-end jobs, throwing away your youth on an old drunk who didn't deserve it. At least now you'll have money, security, a future. I didn't want this future. Well, it's the one you've got. Linda's voice turned vicious. So stop acting like a victim and start acting grateful. You've landed on your feet. Most girls in your position end up dead or worse. Sophia turned to Alessandro. He was watching Linda with the cold, dead eyes of a predator, deciding whether something was worth killing. Take me home, Sophia whispered. Sophia, wait! Linda reached for her or give her. Alessandro moved between them so fast Sophia barely saw it. His hand shot out, grabbed Linda's wrist, squeezed. Linda gasped in pain. Touch her again, Alessandro said softly, and I'll break every bone in your hand, then your arm, then everything else. Do we understand each other? Linda nodded frantically. Alessandro released her. She stumbled back, cradling her wrist. The rent is paid through the end of the year, Alessandro said. After that, you're on your own. Sophia's money stops today. Every penny she's sent you, every sacrifice she's made, it's done. If I hear you've tried to contact her, if I hear you've mentioned her name to anyone, I'll come back. And I won't be this pleasant. He turned to Sophia, his voice gentling. Let's go. Sophia let him guide her out of the apartment, down the stairs, into the SUV. She didn't look back. Didn't say goodbye. She was numb. Completely, utterly numb. They drove in silence. Alessandro didn't try to touch her, didn't offer comfort, just sat there present and solid, while Sophia's world finished crumbling. When they pulled up to the estate, Sophia finally spoke. She really did it. She really sold me. Yes. And she doesn't even feel bad about it. No. She thinks she did me a favor. Alessandro was quiet for a moment. In her twisted way, maybe she did. You would have died, Sophia. The Bratva doesn't take prisoners. They take victims. So instead, I'm your prisoner. You're my wife. He said it gently. Or you will be. In 14 days. I never said yes. You never said no. Not really. Not in a way that meant it. Alessandro turned to face her. You're looking for a reason to stay, Sophia. Some justification that makes it okay. Your aunt just gave it to you. She proved there's nothing left of your old life worth going back to. So now you get to decide, do you want to keep fighting or do you want to live? Those aren't the only options. In this world, they are. He got out of the SUV, offered his hand. Come on, you've had enough reality for one day. Sophia took his hand because her legs wouldn't hold her otherwise. Let him lead her back into the mansion, up the stairs to the blue room that was starting to feel less like a prison and more like a refuge. Rest, Alessandro said. I'll have Maria bring something to eat. I'm not hungry. You're never hungry. Eat anyway. He paused in the doorway. I'm sorry you had to hear that, but I'm not sorry you know the truth now. He closed the door. Sophia heard the lock, then immediately heard it unlock again. His nightly ritual. Locking her in, then setting her free. Control and permission in the same gesture. Sophia sank onto the bed. Her whole body felt heavy. Her aunt's words echoed in her head. You were going to waste your life anyway. Maybe she was right. Maybe Sophia had been wasting her life, killing herself for someone who didn't care, sacrificing everything for nothing. And Alessandro, he'd been watching her do it, seen her suffering, decided to end it the only way he knew how. Was that love or just another form of control Sophia didn't know anymore? Wasn't sure it mattered. There was a knock. Maria came in with a tray. Mr. Alessandro said you had a difficult day, Maria said gently. That's one way to put it. Your aunt, she said bad things. She said true things. That's worse. Sophia looked at the tray. More soup, bread, tea. Maria, how do you do it? How do you live here knowing what they are, what they do? Maria set the chores down and sat beside Sophia on the bed. I stopped thinking about what they are and started thinking about what they've given me. Home, family, purpose. Is it perfect? No. But nothing is perfect. You take what life offers and you make the best of it. Even if what life offers is a cage, even then. Maria took Sophia's hand. You know what I think? I think you're scared. Of course I'm scared. Not of Mr. Alessandro, not really. You're scared of yourself. Scared that maybe you want this, the safety, the comfort, the man who loves you enough to burn the world down for you. Maria squeezed her hand. It's okay to want those things. Doesn't make you weak, makes you human. I don't love him, Sophia whispered. Not yet, but you could if you let yourself. Maria stood. Eat, sleep. Tomorrow is another day and you need strength for it. She left. Sophia picked at the food without tasting it. She was so tired. Tired of fighting, tired of thinking, tired of trying to figure out what was right when nothing felt right anymore. She finished eating, changed into the silk pajamas someone had laid out, climbed into bed. Sleep didn't come. At midnight, someone knocked softly on her door. Come in, Sophia called, expecting Maria. It was Alessandro. He was in sleeping clothes, cotton pants, a t-shirt. She'd never seen him dressed casually before. He looked younger, almost vulnerable. I couldn't sleep, he said. I wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm not okay. I know. He stayed by the door. Can I sit? Sophia nodded. Alessandro crossed the room, sat in the chair by the window, far enough away that she didn't feel threatened, close enough that she could see his face in the moonlight. When I was 12, Alessandro said quietly, my father brought home a stray dog, skinny, half-starved, mean as hell. It bit anyone who came near it. My mother wanted to put it down, but my father said no. He said the dog wasn't mean, it was scared. It had been hurt so many times it didn't know how to trust anymore. What happened to it? My father spent 6 months sitting with it, every day, just sitting there, not trying to touch it, not trying to force it, just being present. Eventually, the dog let him get close, let him pet it, and 6 months after that, it died protecting him from an assassin. Took 3 bullets meant for my father. Sophia didn't say anything. You're that dog, Alessandro said. You've been hurt so many times you don't know how to trust anymore. So I'm sitting here, not forcing anything, not demanding anything, just being present. And maybe one day you'll let me close enough to show you that not everyone who claims to care is lying. Your father kept the dog to use it, Sophia said, to turn it into a weapon. Maybe. Alessandro's smile was sad. Or maybe he really did care in his broken way. Motivation doesn't change the outcome. The dog was loved, fed, protected, and it died knowing it mattered to someone. That's the saddest story I've ever heard. I know, but it's true. He stood. I'll let you sleep. I needed to see that you were okay. Alessandro, he paused at the door. Why me? Sophia asked. Really, why did you choose me? Alessandro was quiet for so long, she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, because when I saw you give away that umbrella, I realized I'd spent my entire life taking power, taking lives, taking whatever I wanted without asking. And there you were giving something away for nothing. No agenda, no angle, just kindness. His voice cracked slightly. I thought if I could keep that kindness safe, if I could protect it and keep it alive, maybe I could prove that not everything good has to be destroyed. Maybe I could save one thing in this world instead of ruining it. I'm not a thing to be saved. No, you're a person I'm obsessed with, a person I'd kill for and die for and apparently kidnap for. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I'm not asking you to understand. I'm just asking you to stay alive. Everything else, the marriage, the love, the happy ending, that's negotiable. But your life isn't. That's the one thing I'll never compromise on. What if I don't want this life? Then we'll find you a different one. Together. But you have to be alive to find it. He left. The door closed softly. Sophia lay in the darkness, Alessandro's words echoing in her head. You have to be alive to find it. Maybe that was the only truth that mattered. She was alive. Broken, confused, trapped, but alive. The next morning, Sophia got up early, showered, dressed in the clothes laid out for her jeans and a sweater, simple and comfortable. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the girl staring back. She went downstairs, found Alessandro in the dining room reading a newspaper, coffee at his elbow. He looked up when she entered. Surprise flickered across his face. Good morning. Morning. Sophia sat down across from him. Maria appeared immediately with a plate, eggs, toast, fruit. Real food. They ate in silence for a few minutes. Then Sophia said, I want to go back to school. Alessandro set down his coffee. Okay. Online, I don't think I can handle being around people yet, but I want to finish high school. Maybe start college courses. Done. I'll have my assistant set it up today. He studied her face. What changed? My aunt said I was wasting my life, and she was right. I was. But I'm not going to waste it anymore. Sophia met his eyes. I don't know if I'll ever love you. I don't know if I can be what you want me to be. But I'm not going to let this situation destroy me. If I'm stuck here, I'm going to make something of it. Alessandro's face did something complicated. Relief and pain and hope all mixed together. That's all I've ever wanted, he said quietly. I have conditions. Name them. I want my own money, a real allowance, not just you buying me things. I want control over something. Done. I want to be able to talk to people outside this house, friends, online if I can't see them in person. Done. I'll have secure lines set up. And I want you to stop lying to me about anything. If I ask a question, you answer it truthfully, no matter how bad the truth is. Alessandro hesitated. That's dangerous. There are things about my work. I don't care about dangerous. I care about honesty. If we're going to do this, whatever this is, I need to know you'll be honest with me. He was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, ask me anything. Sophia took a breath. Have you killed people? Yes. How many? 17 directly. Hundreds more on my orders. The number hit like a fist. Sophia's hands trembled. She gripped the edge of the table. Why? Because they threatened my family. Because they broke deals. Because in my world, weakness gets you killed and mercy is weakness. Alessandro's voice was flat factual. I'm not proud of it, but I'm not ashamed either. It's what I do. It's what I've always done. Will you kill again? Probably. If someone threatens you, definitely. What if I asked you not to? Then I'd lie to you and do it anyway. He met her eyes. I said I'd be honest. Here's the honest truth. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you safe, including things you'll hate me for, including things that'll make you sick. I can't be the good man you want me to be, Sophia, but I can be the monster who keeps you alive. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. I don't know how to live with that. Neither do I, honestly, but we'll figure it out. Alessandro reached across the table, didn't take her hand, just laid his palm up, waiting. Together, if you'll let me. Sophia looked at his hand, at this killer who wrote poetry about umbrellas and kindness, at the monster who wanted to save her from a world he'd helped create. She put her hand in his fingers closed around hers, warm, gentle, possessive. 14 days, she said. I'll give you 14 days, and then we'll see. 14 days, Alessandro agreed. That's more than I deserve. The days passed faster than Sophia expected. She started her online courses, met with tutors. Alessandro hired expensive patient brilliant. She read books from the library that took up an entire floor of the mansion. She walked the gardens every morning, feeling a little less trapped each time. And she talked to Alessandro, really talked. He told her about his childhood, the violence, the pressure, the constant fear of failure. She told him about her parents' death, about raising herself while her aunt drank away the insurance money. They didn't fall in love, but they started to understand each other. 1 week before the wedding, Isabella summoned Sophia again. I hear you've decided to go through with it, Isabella said. I've decided not to fight it, Sophia corrected. That's different. Not in this world it isn't. Isabella gestured to the chair. Sit. We need to talk about what happens after. Sophia sat. What do you mean? After the wedding, you'll be a Caruso. That comes with responsibilities. Expectations? You'll attend family dinners, charity galas, business meetings. You'll smile and nod, and never ever show weakness in public. I'm 18 years old. I don't know how to do any of that. Then you'll learn. Fast. Isabella leaned forward. This family has enemies, Sophia, people who would love nothing more than to find a weakness and exploit it. You will be that weakness unless you become strong enough to be a weapon instead. I don't want to be a weapon. What you want stopped mattering the moment you put your hand in my son's. Isabella's voice was cold. You're one of us now. Act like it. Or what? Or you'll get someone killed. Maybe yourself, maybe Alessandro, maybe Maria or Lucia, or one of the guards you smile at every morning. This isn't a game, child. This is survival. And you need to decide right now, are you going to survive or are you going to be another name on a list of casualties? Sophia felt ice run down her spine. You're trying to scare me. I'm trying to prepare you. Isabella stood, moved to the window. I was young once too, naive. I thought love would be enough. It wasn't. Love doesn't stop bullets. Love doesn't prevent betrayal. Strength does. Control does. Power does. I don't want power. Then you'll lose everything, including him. The words hung in the air. Sophia stood slowly. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Isabella turned back to her. My son loves you. That makes you his greatest weakness. His enemies know that. They're already planning how to use you against him. The only way to protect him, to protect yourself, is to become so dangerous that attacking you isn't worth the cost. How do I do that? Isabella smiled. You learn from me. The wedding dress fit perfectly. Sophia stood in front of the mirror in the blue room, Maria fussing with the hem. The silk was cool against her skin. The dress was simple, elegant, exactly what Sophia would have chosen if she'd had a choice. You look beautiful, Maria said, tears in her eyes. I look like a bride, Sophia said. That's different. There was a knock. Lucia entered without waiting for permission, carrying a box. From Alessandro, she said, handing it to Sophia. He wanted you to have it before tomorrow. Sophia opened the box. Inside was a necklace, a simple gold chain with a single pendant, a tiny umbrella. Delicate, beautiful, perfect. There was a note. For the girl who taught me what kindness looks like. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you. Sophia's hands were shaking. She didn't know if she wanted to laugh or cry. He really loves you, Lucia said quietly. I've never seen him like this. Soft, vulnerable, human. He's still a killer. We're all killers here. The question is, what are you willing to kill for? Lucia moved closer. Tomorrow you become family. That means if anyone threatens you, we destroy them. All of us, together. Is that something you can live with? Sophia looked at the umbrella necklace. Thought about Alessandro sitting with a scared dog for 6 months. Thought about her aunt selling her. Thought about the bratva and the bullets and the bodies. Thought about being alive. I don't know, she said honestly. But I guess I'm about to find out. Lucia smiled. Good answer. The next morning, Sophia woke up to sunlight streaming through the windows. Her wedding day. The day she'd stop being Sophia Chen and become Sophia Caruso. The day she'd trade the last shreds of her old life for something new and terrifying and inevitable. Maria helped her dress, did her hair, applied minimal makeup because Sophia's face was already pale enough. At 11 o'clock, Alessandro knocked on the door. It's time, he said through the wood, if you're ready. Sophia looked at herself one last time in the mirror, at the girl in the white dress with the umbrella necklace in the bandaged hand that was finally healing. She opened the door. Alessandro stood there in a black suit, looking like every dream and nightmare she'd ever had. His eyes, when they met hers, were full of something too big to name. You came, he said like he'd half expected her to run. I came, Sophia agreed. He offered his arm. She took it. And together they walked toward a future neither of them could predict. The chapel was smaller than Sophia expected. Private. Just family, which meant about 40 people, all dressed in black like they were attending a funeral instead of a wedding. Maybe they were. The death of Sophia Chen, the birth of someone new. Alessandro's hand on her arm was steady, too steady, like he was the only thing keeping her upright. You don't have to do this, he whispered as they paused at the entrance. Say the word and I'll end it, right now. Sophia looked at him, really looked. He was terrified. This man who'd killed 17 people with his own hands was terrified that she'd say no in front of his entire family. What happens if I say no, she asked. Then we go back to the way things were. You stay, I wait, forever if necessary. And your family can go to hell. He said it loud enough that the nearest guest turned to stare. Alessandro didn't care. I don't need their approval. I only need yours. Sophia felt something crack open in her chest. Not love, not yet, but something close, something dangerous. Ask me, she said. What? You've decided everything for me, every single thing since that night in the bakery. So now I'm deciding something. Ask me properly, like I have a choice. Alessandro's throat worked. He got down on one knee right there in the chapel entrance in front of everyone and took her hand. Sophia Chen, he said, and his voice shook. Will you marry me not because you're trapped, not because you're scared, but because you want to, because you think maybe possibly we could build something real out of this disaster? Will you choose me? The chapel had gone completely silent. 40 people holding their breath. Isabella's face was carved from ice. Lucia was grinning. Maria was crying. And Sophia was standing there with a killer on his knees in front of her, asking for something he could take but wouldn't. Yes, she said. Alessandro's eyes closed. Relief flooded his face. He stood, and before Sophia could process what was happening, he pulled her against him and kissed her. It wasn't their first kiss that had been last night, awkward and brief and initiated by Sophia, because she'd needed to know if she could stand it. But this was different. This kiss was desperate and grateful and full of promises neither of them knew if they could keep. When they broke apart, someone in the back started clapping. Then everyone was clapping, even Isabella, though her smile could have cut glass. Shall we? Alessandro asked, offering his arm again. They walked down the aisle together, past faces Sophia didn't know, past the guards who'd watched her for 2 weeks, past Dr. Reeves who nodded approval, past Lucia who winked. The priest was old, ancient actually. He looked at Sophia with kind eyes that had seen too much. Do you come here freely? The priest asked her quietly. Or under duress? Alessandro's hand tightened on hers. Everyone leaned forward, waiting. Sophia thought about lying, about saying she was here under duress, forcing Alessandro to either admit the truth or lie in a church. But that would be cruel, and despite everything, she didn't want to be cruel. I come freely, she said, with conditions, but freely. The priest's lips twitched. Conditions. That's a new one. He looked at Alessandro. Do you accept her conditions? Every single one, Alessandro said, and any more she thinks of later. Then let's begin. The ceremony was short, traditional Catholic vows that felt strange in Sophia's mouth, words about honoring and obeying that made her want to laugh or scream or both. But she said them, and Alessandro said them back, his voice steady and sure. And then the priest said, You may kiss your bride. Alessandro cupped her face in both hands, leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. Sophia didn't pull away. The kiss was gentle, reverent, nothing like the desperate one at the entrance. This kiss felt like a promise, the kind that might actually be kept. When they turned to face the crowd, Sophia was wearing Alessandro's ring, a simple gold band that matched the umbrella necklace. She looked down at it and thought, this is real now. I'm married, I'm 18 years old, and married to a man I met 2 weeks ago. The reception was in the mansion's ballroom. Someone had decorated it with white flowers and candles. A string quartet played in the corner. Waiters circulated with champagne and appetizers that probably cost more than Sophia used to make in a week. Alessandro kept her close, his hand on her back, his body between her and anyone who got too friendly. He introduced her to people whose names she immediately forgot: cousins, associates, business partners. Everyone smiled, everyone congratulated them. Everyone looked at Sophia like they were trying to figure out if she was an asset or a liability. Drink, Lucia said, appearing at Sophia's elbow with champagne. Trust me, you'll need it. Sophia took the glass, drank. The bubbles burned her throat. How are you holding up? Lucia asked. I'm married. Yeah, I noticed. Congrats and condolences. Which do I need more? Ask me in a year. Lucia clinked her glass against Sophia's. Welcome to the family, sister. Try not to die. She disappeared into the crowd. Alessandro pulled Sophia onto the dance floor. The quartet shifted to something slow and romantic. I don't know how to dance, Sophia said. Follow my lead. I'm tired of following your lead. Alessandro smiled. Then step on my toes, I deserve it. They danced. Sophia did step on his toes twice. Alessandro didn't complain, just held her closer and guided her through the steps. What happens now? Sophia asked. Now we eat terrible wedding cake and pretend to enjoy it. Then we do the bouquet toss that you'll hate. Then everyone leaves and we're alone. And then whatever you want. His eyes met hers. I meant what I said. Your conditions, your timeline. I'm not expecting anything tonight except maybe the privilege of sleeping in the same house as my wife. You've been sleeping in the same house as me for 2 weeks. Is that quite different? You weren't mine yet. I'm not yours now, Sophia said. I'm my own. Fair enough. Alessandro spun her, pulled her back. You're your own, but you're also Mrs. Caruso now. That means something. To me and to everyone here. What does it mean? It means you're untouchable. It means anyone who hurts you answers to me. It means... He stopped, swallowed hard. It means I finally have something worth protecting besides my own miserable life. Sophia didn't know what to say to that, so she just danced. The song ended. Isabella appeared, cutting in smoothly. May I? She asked, not really asking. Alessandro stepped back. Isabella took Sophia's hand, led her in a waltz that was more interrogation than dance. You surprised me today, Isabella said. How? You said yes. I thought you'd run. I thought about it. But you didn't. Why, Sophia met Isabella's cold eyes. Because running would have been pointless. You were right, I'm marked now. I have been since Alessandro decided I was worth watching. The only way forward is through. Smart girl. Isabella's grip tightened. But being smart isn't enough. You need to be ruthless. Can you be ruthless, Sophia? I don't know yet. You'll learn or you'll die. Those are your options. Isabella leaned closer. My son loves you. That's both a gift and a curse. A gift because he'll do anything for you. A curse because his enemies will use that love to destroy him, unless you become strong enough to protect yourself. To protect him, can you do that? What if I can't? Then you'll watch him die because of you. And you'll have to live with that knowledge for the rest of your very short life. Isabella released her and walked away. Sophia stood in the middle of the dance floor shaking until Alessandro reappeared. What did she say? He demanded. That I need to be ruthless. You don't have to be anything you don't want to be. But she's right, isn't she? Sophia looked up at him. I'm your weakness now. Your enemies will come after me. Let them try. Alessandro's voice went cold. I'll kill anyone who even looks at you wrong. You can't kill everyone. Watch me. He said it like a promise, like a threat, like it was the most natural thing in the world. The reception continued. Sophia cut the cake, Alessandro's hand over hers on the knife, another symbol of unity that felt more like chains. She threw the bouquet, it hit Lucia in the face, making everyone laugh. She posed for photographs that would sit on Alessandro's desk and in family albums, proof that this had happened, that it was real. And then finally everyone left. The mansion went quiet. The staff cleaned up efficiently. Alessandro walked Sophia up the stairs, his hand warm on the small of her back. They stopped outside the blue room. I had your things moved, Alessandro said. To our room. Our room. The master suite. It's bigger, better view, 2 bathrooms, so you don't have to share. He was talking too fast, nervous. But if you want to stay here, if you're not ready, show me, Sophia said. The master suite was massive. A bedroom larger than her aunt's entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the grounds. A sitting area with a fireplace. 2 bathrooms like he'd promised. And a bed. A huge bed that suddenly felt very significant. Sophia's clothes were in the closet. Her few possessions on the dresser. Someone had even brought up the books she'd been reading. There's a lock on the bathroom door, Alessandro said. And on the bedroom door. You control them both. I won't come in without permission. Even though this is your room. It's our room now. That means your rules too. Sophia turned to face him. He looked exhausted, vulnerable. Nothing like the man who'd walked into the bakery 2 weeks ago and destroyed her life. Take off your jacket, she said. Alessandro blinked. What, your jacket? Take it off. He did, confused. Sophia walked over, took it from him, hung it carefully in the closet next to her dresses. What are you doing? He asked. learning to share space with you. It's weird, but everything about this is weird. She turned back to him. Help me with this dress. Alessandro froze. Sophia, I can't reach the buttons, and I don't want to sleep in it. She turned her back. Just the buttons. That's all. His hands were shaking as he undid the buttons. Sophia could feel it. This man who'd killed people without hesitation was shaking while undressing his wife. Thank you, she said when he finished. She stepped away, went to the bathroom, closed the door, changed into pajamas, washed her face, stared at her reflection. Mrs. Sophia Caruso. The name felt foreign, wrong, but it was hers now. When she came out, Alessandro was sitting on the edge of the bed in sleeping clothes. He'd taken the right side, left her the left closest to the bathroom. I can sleep in the guest room, he said, if you want. No. Sophia climbed into bed. The mattress was ridiculously comfortable. Stay, but on your side. Always. They lay in the darkness, a careful distance between them. Sophia could hear Alessandro breathing, could feel the weight of him on the other side of the bed. Alessandro. Yeah. Why were you shaking? Silence, then, because I've wanted this for 6 months. And now that I have it, I'm terrified I'll ruin it. You've already ruined it, Sophia said. You kidnapped me, forced me to marry you. That's pretty much the definition of ruining things. I know. But maybe, Sophia continued slowly, maybe we can build something new from the ruins. Something that isn't perfect but is real. Alessandro rolled to face her. She could see his silhouette in the darkness. I don't deserve you, he said. No, you don't. But here we are anyway. Here we are, he agreed. They lay there for a long time, not touching, just existing in the same space, learning the rhythm of each other's breathing. Sophia woke up sometime in the night. Alessandro was having a nightmare, thrashing, making small sounds of distress. She watched for a moment, then reached across the careful distance and touched his shoulder. Hey, wake up. Alessandro jerked awake, breathing hard. For a second, he didn't recognize her. Then, Sophia, sorry, did I wake you? You were dreaming. Yeah. He ran a hand through his hair. I do that sometimes, the nightmares. You can move to another room if... What were you dreaming about? Alessandro was quiet. Then you, dead, because of me. Sophia's throat tightened. I'm not dead. Not yet, but you could be, any day, because I made you a target. His voice cracked. I keep thinking, what if I was wrong? What if keeping you close is what gets you killed instead of what keeps you alive? You can't think like that, Sophia said. You'll drive yourself crazy. I'm already crazy. I kidnapped a girl because she gave away an umbrella. Yeah, you did. Sophia hesitated, then moved closer. Not touching, but closer. But I'm still alive, still breathing. That has to count for something. It counts for everything. Alessandro looked at her, and even in the darkness, she could see the desperation in his eyes. You're everything, Sophia. That's the problem. No, the problem is you think you can control everything. You can't. Bad things happen. People ding. You can't prevent all of it. I can try. And you'll destroy yourself trying. She reached out, took his hand. So how about this? You try to keep us both alive. And I'll try to make both our lives worth living. Deal. Alessandro's fingers tightened around hers. Deal. They fell back asleep like that, holding hands across the careful distance. When Sophia woke in the morning, Alessandro was already gone, but there was a note on his pillow. Business. Back by noon. There's breakfast downstairs. Sophia got up, showered, dressed, went downstairs to find Maria in the kitchen cooking. Good morning, Mrs. Caruso, Maria said, beaming. The name still felt wrong, but Sophia smiled anyway. Morning. Mr. Alessandro, he left early, said he had important meeting. Maria set down a plate of eggs and toast. How are you feeling first morning as married woman? Weird, wrong, like I'm playing dress up in someone else's life. That feeling goes away, eventually. Maria poured coffee. Or you get used to it, same thing really. Sophia ate. The house was quiet without Alessandro. She wandered the rooms, touching things, trying to make them feel familiar. This was her home now, her prison, her sanctuary, all three at once. She found Alessandro's office. The door was unlocked. She went in. It was exactly what she expected. Dark wood furniture, leather chairs, A desk covered in papers she couldn't read, Italian, Russian, Chinese. Business dealings she didn't want to know about. But on the corner of the desk, there was a photograph. Sophia picked it up. It was her, from 6 months ago, walking home in the rain, smiling. She didn't remember anyone taking this photo, but Alessandro had kept it, had looked at it, had fallen in love with this moment. That was the first one. Sophia spun around. Isabella stood in the doorway. First what? Sophia asked. First photograph. He has hundreds now, all of you, working at the bakery, walking to the dry cleaners, sleeping on the bus. He watched you for 6 months, Sophia. Documented every moment. Isabella moved into the room. Is that love or obsession? Does it matter? It matters when the obsession puts you in danger. Isabella took the photograph, set it back on the desk. My son's enemies know about you now. You're official. That means you're a target, a way to hurt him, and they will try soon. What do you want me to do about it? Learn to defend yourself. Learn to shoot. Learn to lie convincingly. Learn everything you need to survive in this world. Isabella's eyes were cold, or don't, and become another casualty. Another name on the list of people my son loved and lost. He hasn't lost me. Not yet, but you're soft, breakable. You give away umbrellas and smile in the rain. That kindness will get you killed unless you learn to hide it, to weaponize it, to use it strategically instead of instinctively. I don't want to change, Sophia said. Then you'll die being yourself, and my son will die avenging you. Is that what you want? Sophia felt cold. No. Then starting tomorrow, you train with me. Every morning, 6 a.m. I'll teach you everything my husband taught me, everything that kept me alive for 35 years in this world. And if I say no, Isabella smiled, it wasn't kind, then you're stupider than I thought, and my son's love is wasted on you. She left. Sophia stood in the office holding the photograph of herself in the rain and thought about everything Isabella had said. She was soft, breakable, the girl who gave away umbrellas. But she'd also survived her parents' death, survived 4 years with an alcoholic aunt, survived working herself to exhaustion, survived being sold to the Bratva and kidnapped by the Mafia. Maybe she was stronger than anyone thought. Maybe she just needed to learn how to use that strength. Alessandro came home at 1 o'clock, found Sophia in the library reading. Sorry I'm late, he said. Meeting ran long. It's fine. Sophia set down her book. Your mother wants to train me, teach me how to survive in your world. Alessandro's face went dark. No. Why not? Because I don't want you to become like her. Cold, hard, ruthless. But that's what keeps people alive in your world, right? Being ruthless. I keep you alive, Alessandro said firmly. That's my job, not yours. What if something happens to you? So? Sophia stood. What if your enemies get to you first? What happens to me then? That won't happen. You don't know that. Her voice rose. You said yourself bad things happen. People die. So if I'm going to survive in this world, I need to learn how to protect myself, not just rely on you to do it for me. Alessandro stared at her, then slowly he nodded. Okay, he said quietly. You're right, I can't always be there. And you deserve to feel safe even when I'm not. He ran a hand through his hair. But not with my mother. She'll break you down and rebuild you into someone I don't recognize. Then who? Me, I'll train you. He moved closer. Every morning, I'll teach you everything I know. How to shoot, how to fight, how to read people and situations, how to survive. You'll do that. I'll do anything for you. I thought that was obvious by now. Sophia felt something shift in her chest. Not love, not yet, but something close, something that felt like the beginning of trust. Okay, she said, starting tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, Alessandro agreed. He pulled her into his arms. Sophia let herself lean into his strength. We'll get through this, together, I promise. Don't make promises you can't keep. I've never broken a promise to you. You've only known me 2 weeks. Best 2 weeks of my life, Alessandro said against her hair. That night they had dinner together. Just the two of them. Maria served pasta that made Sophia want to cry. It was so good. They talked about small things, books, movies, childhood memories that didn't hurt too much to revisit. And when they went to bed, Sophia didn't hesitate. She climbed in on her side. Alessandro climbed in on his. And when she woke up in the middle of the night from her own nightmare, her aunt's face, the Bratva glass shattering Alessandro, was there. "Hey," he murmured, pulling her close. "You're okay. You're safe." "I dreamed about that night, the coffee mug, the blood. The night we met." "The night you kidnapped me," Sophia corrected. "Yeah, that too." He held her tighter. "Do you regret it?" "Saying yes today?" Sophia thought about it, really thought about it. "Ask me again in 6 months," she finally said. "Fair enough." Alessandro pressed a kiss to her forehead. "Go back to sleep. I've got you." And despite everything, despite the kidnapping and the forced marriage and the guns and the danger and the impossibility of it all, Sophia believed him. She went back to sleep in her husband's arms and dreamed of umbrellas in the rain. The next morning at 6 a.m., Alessandro knocked on the bathroom door while Sophia was getting dressed. "You ready?" he called. "For what?" "Training, remember." Sophia opened the door. Alessandro was in workout clothes. He looked younger, more human. "Right now." "Said we'd start today. I keep my promises." He held out his hand. "Come on, we'll start with basics. How to throw a punch without breaking your own thumb." "I don't want to punch anyone." "You will. Eventually. This world doesn't give you a choice." Sophia took his hand, let him lead her down to the basement where there was apparently a full gym and shooting range. Let him show her how to stand, how to move, how to turn her body into something other than a victim. It was hard, exhausting. She wanted to quit after 10 minutes. But Alessandro was patient, encouraging. He adjusted her stance with gentle hands and praised every small improvement. "You're stronger than you think," he said after an hour. "You just need to believe it." "I don't feel strong." "Strength isn't about how you feel. It's about what you do even when you feel weak." He handed her a water bottle. "You survived your aunt. You survived the bakery. You survived me. That takes strength. Or stupidity. Sometimes they're the same thing." They trained for another hour. By the end, Sophia's muscles were screaming, but she'd landed 3 good punches on the bag, had managed to block 2 of Alessandro's slow-motion strikes. "Good," he said, breathing hard himself. "Really good. Tomorrow we'll work on footwork. Tomorrow I'll be dead from soreness. I'll have Dr. Reeves come by. He'll give you something for the pain." Alessandro pulled her close despite the sweat. "I'm proud of you. For what? Not passing out. For trying. For choosing to be strong instead of staying scared." He kissed her quick and sweet. "You're going to be okay, Sophia. We're going to be okay." "You don't know that." "No, but I'm going to act like I do until it becomes true." They went upstairs, showered separately, had breakfast together, and Sophia realized with a strange jolt that this felt almost normal, almost like a real marriage instead of a forced one. She looked at Alessandro across the table, this killer, this criminal, this man who'd destroyed her life to save it, and thought maybe this is what love looks like in a broken world. Not perfect, not easy, but real. "What?" Alessandro asked, catching her staring. "Nothing," Sophia said. "Just thinking." "About what?" "About umbrellas in the rain." Alessandro smiled, that real smile that made him look almost innocent, almost good. "Me too," he said. "Me too." And for the first time since the glass had shattered in her hand 2 weeks ago, Sophia thought, maybe I can do this. Maybe we can survive this together. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something. And in Alessandro Caruso's world, something was more than most people ever got. 6 weeks passed like a dream and a nightmare tangled together. Sophia trained every morning with Alessandro. Learned to shoot straight, to throw a punch that actually landed, to read the micro-expressions that meant someone was lying. She got stronger, faster, less afraid. She also started her college courses online. Psychology because she wanted to understand people. Literature because she needed to remember beauty still existed. Business because Isabella insisted every Caruso wife needed to understand the family holdings. And slowly, carefully, she started to feel less like a prisoner and more like something else. She wasn't sure what. Wife felt too simple. Partner felt too equal. Survivor felt too passive. Then everything changed. It was a Tuesday morning. Sophia was in the library when Alessandro burst in, phone pressed to his ear, face carved from stone. "When Hasham?" he demanded. "How many? Where is he now?" Sophia stood. "What's wrong?" Alessandro held up a hand. "Wait." He listened, his jaw clenched tighter with every second. "Get everyone to the safe room. Now. He hung up, looked at Sophia. We have a problem. What kind of problem? The Bratva kind. He grabbed her arm, started pulling her toward the door. They know you're here. They know we're married, and they're coming to collect what they think they're owed. Sophia's blood went cold. I thought you paid them. I did, but apparently your aunt borrowed more money after I cleared her slate. Another 15,000, and she told them where to find you. Alessandro's voice was tight with rage. She sold you twice, Sophia, twice. The betrayal hit like a physical blow. Where is she? Dead. They killed her this morning when she couldn't pay. Now they're coming here. How many? 8 that we know of, maybe more. He pushed open a hidden door in the hallway. Stairs led down into darkness. The safe room is reinforced. Bulletproof. You'll be protected. No. Sophia pulled free. I'm not hiding. Yes, you are. This isn't negotiable. You said you'd teach me to defend myself. You said I needed to be strong, so let me be strong. Her voice didn't shake. I can shoot, I can fight, use me. Alessandro stared at her. If something happens to you, then you'll avenge me. That's how this works, right? Sophia met his eyes. But I'm not dying cowering in a basement. I'm dying fighting if I die at all. For a long moment, Alessandro didn't move. Then he pulled a gun from his waistband, handed it to her. Safety's here. 15 rounds. Don't hesitate. Don't aim for center mass like I taught you these guys wear vests. Aim for the head. His hands were shaking again. Stay behind me. If I say run, you run. Promise me. I promise. The gunfire started 5 minutes later. Sophia heard it from the second floor, sharp cracks that made her heart stop. Alessandro shoved her into a bedroom, positioned himself by the door. How many? She whispered. Sounds like 4 downstairs. The others are probably breaching from the back. He checked his gun. Our guys will hold them off as long as they can, but Bratva doesn't care about casualties. They'll throw bodies at us until we run out of bullets. That's insane. That's war. More gunfire. Closer now. Someone screamed, then silence. The worst kind of silence. Alessandro's phone buzzed. He looked at it. His face went white. What? Sophia demanded. They're in the house. Marco's dead. Vincent's dead. They're heading for the stairs. Then we go down to meet them, Sophia said. Are you insane? You trained me for this, so let me do it. She checked her gun like he'd taught her. Safety off, one in the chamber. I'm not the girl from the bakery anymore. I'm Mrs. Caruso, and nobody comes into my house and threatens my family. Alessandro looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. You mean that? Every word. Then stay close, and for God's sake, don't miss. They moved into the hallway. Sophia's hands were steady on the gun. Her heart was racing, but her breathing was controlled. 6 weeks of training had rewired something in her brain. Fear was still there, but it didn't paralyze anymore. It sharpened. The first man came around the corner. Big, tattooed, saw Alessandro and raised his weapon. Sophia shot him in the face. The man dropped. Blood sprayed the wall. Sophia didn't feel anything, just checked her gun, 14 rounds left, and kept moving. Jesus Christ, Alessandro breathed. Remind me never to piss you off. Too late. 2 more men came up the stairs. Alessandro took one. Sophia took the other center mass first to drop him, then headshot to finish it, just like they'd practiced. Where's the 4th? Alessandro asked. Glass shattered behind them. The 4th man came through a window, firing wildly. Alessandro shoved Sophia down. Bullets tore through the air where she'd been standing. Alessandro returned fire. The man went down hard. Silence again. Sophia's ears were ringing. She could smell gunpowder and blood. Is it over? She asked. Not even close. Alessandro helped her up. That was just the advance team. The real assault is... The front door exploded inward. 6 men poured through, all armed, all shooting. Alessandro grabbed Sophia, threw them both behind a marble pillar. Bullets chipped the stone. One grazed Sophia's arm, a line of fire, not deep, but bleeding. You're hit, Alessandro said, fury and fear mixing in his voice. I'm fine, shoot them. They fired from cover. Sophia's hands were slick with blood, hers or someone else's, she wasn't sure. Didn't matter. She aimed, fired, watched men fall. This was insane. This was horrible. This was her life now. One of the Bratva men got close. Too close. Alessandro was reloading. The man raised his gun at Sophia's head. She didn't think, just moved. Grabbed the man's wrist, twisted like Alessandro had taught her, used his own momentum to throw him off balance. The gun went off, wild shot missed. Sophia drove her knee into his groin, then her elbow into his temple. He dropped. "Where the hell did you learn that?" Alessandro demanded. "You taught me. Weren't you paying attention? Despite everything, the blood, the bodies, the impossibility." Alessandro laughed. "I love you so much right now." The words hit harder than any bullet. Sophia stared at him. "What?" "I love you," Alessandro said again. "I know the timing is shit, but if we die today, I need you to know that. I love you, Sophia." Sophia opened her mouth to respond, then saw the last Bratva man behind Alessandro gun-raised finger on the trigger. She didn't hesitate, raised her own gun, fired. The man's head snapped back. He fell. Alessandro spun around, saw the body, looked at Sophia. "You saved my life," he said, stunned. "Yeah, don't get used to it." But Sophia was shaking now, adrenaline crashing. "Is it over? Are they all dead?" "I think so." Alessandro checked his phone. "Lucia's reporting clear from the East Wing. Marco's dead, but Vincent, no wait. Vincent's alive. Wounded, but alive." He looked around at the carnage. "We need to clean this up before the police." "The police already know not to come," Lucia said, appearing from the hallway. She had blood on her hands, but looked calm. "I called our guy at the precinct, reported shots fired from the neighbor's house. They'll investigate there for hours before they realize the mistake." "Smart," Alessandro said. "I'm not just a pretty face." Lucia looked at Sophia. "Nice shooting. You got what, 3 of them?" "4, Sophia said quietly. "4. Lucia whistled. "Not bad for your first firefight. Welcome to the family, sister. For real this time." She walked away. Sophia stood in the hallway surrounded by bodies and blood and the ruins of her mourning and thought, this is my life now. This is what I chose. Mini Climax 5, 193:00 to 195:30. Alessandro pulled her into his arms, held her tight enough to hurt. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry. I should have protected you better. I should have—" "Stop." Sophia pulled back. "You taught me to protect myself. And I did. We did. Together." She looked at her hands, covered in blood. "I killed people, Alessandro. I know. I don't feel bad about it. That's normal. The guilt comes later. Or it doesn't. Everyone's different." "What if I'm broken?" Sophia asked. "What if this broke something in me? Then we're both broken. And we'll figure it out together." Alessandro cupped her face. "I meant what I said. I love you. Not because you saved my life, not because you can shoot straight, because you're you, strong and kind and brave and completely insane for staying with me." Sophia's eyes burned. "I don't love you back, not yet." "I know. But I might someday if we survive long enough." "Long? That's all that I'm asking for." He kissed her, hard and desperate and full of promises. "Let's get you cleaned up. Dr. Reeves needs to look at that arm." They walked through the mansion. Staff were already cleaning. Bodies were being removed. Blood was being scrubbed away. Like this was routine. Like people died here all the time. Maybe they did. Dr. Reeves stitched Sophia's arm in the kitchen. She didn't cry, didn't flinch, just watched him work and thought about all the times she'd imagined what being married would be like. None of those fantasies had included firefights and corpses. "You did well today," Dr. Reeves said quietly. "Most people freeze their first time. You didn't. Alessandro trained me. Alessandro gave you tools. You chose to use them. That's different." He finished the stitches, bandaged the wound. "How do you feel?" "Numb. That's the shock. It'll wear off. When it does come find me, I'll give you something for the nightmares." "You think I'll have nightmares?" "I think you just killed 4 men. Nightmares are the least of what you'll have." He packed up his supplies. "But you'll survive them. You're tougher than you look." He left. Sophia sat in the kitchen staring at her bandaged arm. She could still feel the recoil of the gun, still see the men falling, still smell the blood. Isabella walked in, looked at Sophia, smiled. "I underestimated you," Isabella said. "I thought you were soft, breakable, but you're not. You're steel wrapped in silk." "I'm a girl who killed people to survive," Sophia said flatly. No, you're a woman who killed people to protect her family. There's a difference. Isabella sat across from her. Welcome to the life, Sophia. You've earned your place here. I didn't want to earn it like this. None of us do. But here we are anyway. Isabella's eyes were almost kind. You love my son, yet... No. Liar. Isabella stood. You took 4 bullets meant for him. That's love. You just haven't admitted it yet. She walked away. Sophia sat alone in the kitchen and thought about Alessandro's declaration, about the words she hadn't been able to say back. Did she love him, this man who'd kidnapped her and forced her into this life? This killer who taught her to kill, who looked at her like she was the only good thing in a world full of darkness. She didn't know, wasn't sure she'd ever know, but she'd saved his life, and that had to mean something. Alessandro found her 20 minutes later. He'd showered, changed, looked almost normal except for the haunted expression in his eyes. The bratva is taken care of, he said. I sent a message through the proper channels. Touch my wife again and I'll burn their entire organization to the ground. They've agreed to terms. What terms? They acknowledge you're under my protection. They write off your aunt's debts. They stay the hell away from you for the rest of your life. And in exchange, I don't slaughter their leadership and leave their families in pieces. Alessandro's voice was cold. I was very clear about what would happen if they tried this again. Sophia looked at him. Really looked. This was the man he'd warned her about. The killer, the monster, the one who'd done terrible things and would do more. And she'd married him, defended him, killed for him. Take me upstairs, she said. What? Take me upstairs, to our room, now. Alessandro's eyes widened. Sophia, you're in shock. You don't know what you're... I know exactly what I'm saying. Sophia stood. I killed 4 people today. I watched you kill more. I looked death in the face and chose violence. If I can do that, I can do this. Do what? Choose you, for real this time. Not because I'm trapped. Not because I'm scared. Because I want to. She took his hand. So take me upstairs. Let me choose you completely. Alessandro's throat worked. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. That's the point. I want to. Sophia pulled him toward the stairs. Unless you don't want, he kissed her, hard and desperate and full of 6 weeks of wanting. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. I want, Alessandro said. God, I want. But are you sure? I'm sure. Sophia led him up the stairs. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. Today, right now, maybe I'll regret it tomorrow. But today I'm choosing. They made it to the bedroom. Alessandro closed the door, locked it, turned to face her. Last chance to change your mind, he said. I'm not changing my mind. Sophia crossed the room, stood in front of him. I'm terrified and traumatized and probably insane, but I'm also alive and I want to feel alive with you. Sophia, she kissed him, let all the fear and adrenaline and desperate need pour into it. Alessandro made a sound like breaking, like relief, like coming home. They fell into bed together, and for the first time since the coffee mug had shattered 6 weeks ago, Sophia felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be, after they lay tangled together in the sheets. Alessandro's hand traced patterns on her skin. Sophia's head rested on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. I meant it earlier, Alessandro said quietly. I love you. I know. You don't have to say it back. Good. Because I'm not ready. Sophia looked up at him. But I'm getting there. That counts for something, right? It counts for everything. He kissed her forehead. We have time. All the time in the world. Do we, after today? Yes, because I'm never letting anyone get close enough to hurt you again. You can't control everything, Sophia said. Watch me. Alessandro's voice was fierce. I lost you today. For 30 seconds, when that bastard had his gun pointed at your head, I lost you. And I realized I can't survive that. Losing you would break me in ways that can't be fixed. That's not love. That's dependency. Maybe they're the same thing. He held her tighter. All I know is you're mine. Not as property, not as possession, but as the person I choose every day. The person I'd burn the world for. The person I'd die for. Don't die for me, Sophia said. Live for me instead. That's harder. Alessandro laughed. Only you would say that. Only you would need to hear it. They lay in silence for a while. Then Sophia said, "What happens now? Now we heal. We train harder. We make sure this never happens again." And my aunt, her funeral, already handled. Small service, cremation. I'll send you the details if you want to go. I don't. Sophia's voice was flat. She sold me twice. She died trying to use me one more time. I'm done mourning her. Fair enough. Does that make me a bad person? No, it makes you smart. Alessandro traced her jaw. You're allowed to stop sacrificing yourself for people who don't deserve it. That's not cruelty. That's self-preservation. The sun was setting by the time they got out of bed. Sophia showered again, washing away blood and gun residue, and the last remnants of the girl she used to be. She looked at herself in the mirror. Same face, same body, but different eyes. Harder, older. She'd killed 4 people today. Saved her husband's life. Chosen him completely. And she didn't regret any of it. That should terrify her, but it didn't. Maybe Alessandra was right. Maybe she was steel wrapped in silk. Maybe she'd always been strong, just waiting for a reason to show it. Or maybe this world had changed her, broken her down and rebuilt her into something new. Either way, she was still standing, still breathing, still fighting. That had to count for something. Alessandro knocked on the bathroom door. Dinner's ready. Maria made your favorite. I'll be right out. She dressed. Simple clothes. Comfortable. Went downstairs to find Alessandro, Lucia, and Isabella at the table. A family dinner, like today, hadn't happened. Like they hadn't spent the afternoon killing people and cleaning up bodies. How's the arm? Lucia asked. Sore, but fine. You did good today, really good. Lucia raised her glass. To Sophia, who proved she's one of us. They drank. Sophia felt the weight of their approval, of their acceptance of being truly finally part of this family. So what's next? Sophia asked. Next, we expand your training, Isabella said. Now that you've proven you can handle combat, we move to strategy, politics, how to navigate our world without getting killed. I thought that's what the combat training was for. Combat keeps you alive in a firefight. Strategy keeps you out of firefights in the first place. Isabella's eyes were sharp. You have potential, Sophia, raw potential. But potential means nothing without refinement. Then refine me. Sophia met her gaze. Teach me everything. I'm done being the weakness. I want to be the weapon. Isabella smiled. Finally, an answer I can respect. They ate, talked about business shipments and territories and deals Sophia still didn't fully understand. But she listened, learned, started putting pieces together. This was her world now, her family, her life. After dinner, Alessandro pulled Sophia into his office. I have something for you, he said, opening a drawer. He pulled out a small box. I was going to wait, but after today I realized we might not have time to wait for perfect moments. He opened the box. Inside was a gun, small, elegant, deadly, custom engraved with her initials. It's yours, Alessandro said. Registered, legal. Always carry it. Promise me. Sophia took the gun. It fit her hand perfectly, like it was made for her, because it was. This is insane, she said. 6 weeks ago, I was serving coffee. Now I'm carrying a personalized firearm. 6 weeks ago, you were dying slowly. Now you're living dangerously. Which would you prefer? Sophia thought about it, about the bakery, about her aunt, about bleeding for minimum wage and abuse, about smiling in the rain because she didn't know any better. This, she said, I prefer this. Even with the violence, the danger, the constant threat, even with all of it. Sophia met his eyes, because at least now I'm fighting for something that matters, for someone who sees me, who chose me. I'll always choose you, Alessandro said. I know. And she did. For the first time, she really believed it. And I'm starting to choose you back. Starting to. Don't push it. I'm still processing the fact that I murdered 4 people today. Fair point. Alessandro pulled her close. We're a disaster, you know that. The worst. Sophia rested her head on his chest. But we're alive and together. That's more than a lot of people get. Much more. They stood there in the office holding each other while the sun set outside. And Sophia thought about umbrellas in the rain, about kindness that almost got her killed, about the moment everything changed. 6 weeks ago, Alessandro Caruso had walked into a bakery and decided she was worth saving. Today, she decided she was worth fighting for. Tomorrow, she'd wake up and train harder. Learn more, become more. Become stronger. But right now, in this moment, she was exactly where she needed to be. Alessandro, she said quietly. Yeah, I think I'm falling in love with you. She felt him stop breathing, felt his arms tighten around her. Say that again, he whispered. I know. I'm falling in love with you. Sophia looked up at him. I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you taught me to shoot. Maybe when you held me through nightmares. Maybe today when I realized I'd kill for you without hesitation. But it's happening, and I'm not fighting it anymore. Alessandro's eyes were bright. You mean that every word? Sophia touched his face. You're a killer, a criminal. You destroyed my old life. But you also gave me a new one where I'm strong instead of broken, protected instead of prey, seen instead of invisible. So yeah, I'm falling in love with you. God help me. God already gave up on me, Alessandro said, but maybe he sent you instead. He kissed her, soft and reverent and full of wonder, like she was something precious instead of something he'd taken. And maybe that was the difference. Maybe love wasn't about how you started, but what you built together despite the beginning. They'd started with violence, obsession, control, but they were building something else now, something real, something that might actually survive. Come on, Alessandro said, taking her hand. Let's go to bed. Tomorrow we start building the rest of our lives. Together, always together. They walked upstairs to their bedroom, to the life they'd chosen, the life they'd fought for, the life they'd build together one dangerous day at a time. Sophia looked at the umbrella necklace around her neck, at the gun in her pocket, at her husband's hand in hers. She thought about the girl she'd been the one who gave away umbrellas and smiled in the rain. That girl was gone. Dead maybe. Or maybe just transformed into something stronger. She thought about the woman she was becoming, steel wrapped in silk, capable of violence and kindness in equal measure. And she thought about the future stretching ahead of them, dangerous, uncertain, full of blood and bullets and the constant threat of death, but also full of love, real love, the kind that survived despite everything. That night, as they lay in bed together, Alessandro said, "Do you regret it, any of it?" Sophia thought about the question, really thought about it. "No," she said finally. "I regret that it had to happen this way. I regret the violence and the fear and the loss, but I don't regret where I ended up, with you in this life, becoming this person. Even though I kidnapped you, even though," Sophia turned to face him, "you said once that you were deciding whether to kill me or keep me. You chose to keep me, and now I'm choosing to keep you back. That's how this works, right? We choose each other. Every day, despite everything." "Despite everything," Alessandro agreed. They fell asleep tangled together. And for the first time in 6 weeks, Sophia didn't have nightmares, didn't wake up gasping, just slept peacefully in her husband's arms, knowing that whatever came next, they'd face it together. Because she was Sophia Caruso now, not the girl from the bakery, not the victim, not the prisoner. She was the woman who'd killed to protect her family, who'd chosen love despite violence, who'd taken a life built on obsession and transformed it into something real. She was steel wrapped in silk, kindness armed with a gun. The umbrella girl who'd learned to shoot straight, and she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Alessandro had been right about one thing in his world: obsession and love were the same. And Sophia had stopped trying to tell the difference. She'd chosen this life, this man, this future, and she'd keep choosing it every single day for the rest of her dangerous, beautiful, impossible life. Because love in a broken world looked like this: violence and tenderness, control and freedom, destruction and creation, all tangled together until you couldn't separate them anymore. And Sophia Chen, no Sophia Caruso, had finally learned how to survive it. More than survive. She'd learned how to live.